All right, we're diving deep into a subject you probably haven't thought much about, but it has shaped almost everything about human sexuality. We're talking about a hidden evolutionary battlefield, a microscopic war that has sculpted our bodies and our minds in ways you would never expect. And it all starts with a very, very specific question. So let's just get right to it. It's a question that might sound a little blunt, but it's a genuine scientific puzzle. Why is the human penis shaped the way that it is? Believe it or not, the answer is both totally fascinating and, well, a little controversial. You see, the answer isn't found in what happens before or during mating. The real key is found in the fierce, invisible competition that happens afterwards. It's a concept that completely changed how we understand sexual selection. And here it is. This is the core idea. It's called sperm competition theory. A biologist named Jeff Parker first figured this out back in the 1970s by watching dung flies, of all things. He realized that when a female mates with more than one male, their sperm are literally at war inside her body, each one fighting to be the one that fertilizes her egg. Okay, dung flies are one thing, but what does that have to do with us? Well, as it turns out, the evidence for this hidden battlefield is written all over our anatomy. And we can start to see it just by comparing ourselves to our closest primate relatives. Now, this chart is absolutely fascinating. In the primate world, testis size is a huge clue about a species' mating habits. Gorillas? They live in harems where one male dominates, so there's not much competition, and they have small testes. Bonobos, on the other hand, are famously promiscuous, so competition is intense. They have enormous ones. And humans, we are right in the middle. This tells evolutionary biologists that our ancestors weren't strictly monogamous, but they weren't having a total free-for-all either. There was some level of sperm competition. And this brings us right back to our original question. An evolutionary psychologist named Gordon Gallup proposed something pretty radical. He suggested that the unique shape of the human penis, specifically that ridge below the head, isn't an accident. He argued it evolved as a weapon, a tool designed for one purpose: to scoop out or displace the semen left behind by a rival. And if you think that sounds like a wild theory, well, check this out. They tested it in a lab using anatomical models and a simulated semen substitute. A penis shape with that coronal ridge removed a staggering 91% of the rival semen, and one without the ridge, it only removed 35%. That's an enormous difference. It strongly suggests the human penis is an incredibly effective displacement device, evolutionarily speaking. Now, this mechanical understanding helped put a very popular old theory to rest, the idea of Kamikaze sperm. You might have heard of this one, the idea that some sperm were blockers or attackers designed to fight off rivals. But the science now points to something much simpler. It's just a scramble competition. Every single sperm has the exact same job: get to the egg first. But the story gets even deeper, because this competition isn't just physical. These same evolutionary pressures have also shaped our minds, our psychology, and our behavior in ways that are profound and often totally unconscious. Okay, get this. It's called the time apart effect. Studies have shown that the more time a man spends away from his partner, the higher his sperm count is the next time they have sex. Now, this isn't a conscious decision. It's an automatic biological response. His body is basically calculating the increased risk of sperm competition and is upping the ante just in case. And that perceived risk triggers other things too. When men suspect a partner might have been unfaithful, or even just after a long separation, they report being more sexually interested in their partner, feeling a greater urgency to have sex, and according to reports from both partners, they tend to thrust deeper and more vigorously, all behaviors that are perfectly consistent with the goal of semen displacement. Now, we absolutely have to address a very serious and dark side to this. This evolutionary framework may also help explain some of humanity's worst behaviors. A high perceived risk of sperm competition is in fact linked to a greater likelihood of sexual coercion. And let me be absolutely crystal clear here. An evolutionary explanation is never a moral justification. Ever. Understanding these ancient roots is about recognizing and fighting against harmful behaviors, not making excuses for them. But this has never, ever been a one-sided story. Because while males were evolving these offensive strategies, females were evolving their own sophisticated defenses and countermoves. They are anything but passive players in this game. The concept is called cryptic female choice. It's cryptic because it's hidden, happening entirely inside the body. It's a whole suite of biological mechanisms that allow a female's body to actually favor the sperm of one male over another, even after sex has already happened. She gets to influence who wins. So how does this actually work? Well, there are a few amazing ways. First, the female reproductive tract itself is like a hostile obstacle course that filters out all but the absolute fittest sperm. Second, there's the orgasm factor. A female orgasm can increase the amount of sperm retained, and studies show it's more likely to happen with partners women find more physically attractive. And finally, there's strategic timing. A woman might unconsciously delay having sex with her main partner after an infidelity, which could give the other man's sperm a potential head start. So, when you put all this together, the male strategies and the female counter strategies, you don't just get a simple system. What you get is a dynamic, constantly escalating, co-evolutionary arms race between the sexes. And this quote just nails it perfectly. An advantage that one sex gains, like, say, a more effective penis shape, creates pressure on the other sex to evolve a counter-adaptation, like a more selective reproductive tract. It's this constant push and pull that drives evolution forward. This arms race forces a really interesting strategic trade-off, especially for males. They can invest their energy in defense, like mate guarding to prevent any rivals from even getting a chance. Or they can invest in offense, producing more and better sperm to win any competition that does happen. And get this, one study found that men who did less mate guarding actually produced higher quality ejaculates. It's as if their bodies were shifting resources away from defense and pouring them into offense. So why does any of this matter today? I mean, we live in a world with birth control and paternity tests. The thing is, our hardware and our software, our bodies and our psychological wiring evolved over millions of years for a totally different world. That ancient programming is still running in the background, influencing our attractions, our jealousies, and our behaviors, even if the reproductive stakes aren't what they used to be. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to chew on. What if human sexuality isn't only about love or connection or pleasure? What if it's also the modern-day expression of an ancient, invisible war, a battlefield where the ultimate prize has always been genetic immortality? When you think about it that way, it kind of changes everything. We are all, after all, the descendants of countless winners of that war.